Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers. If you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's so called Behavior Modification Program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. I threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Read the article, share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually sees through with their threat. Trigger warning number 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to utilize the headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is advised, alright? Warning. I am dealing with horrific allergies that are kicking my ass right now. So if you hear any weird throat noises, sneezes, or it sounds like I'm hawking up half a lung, my apologies in advance for that, alright? Alright, so where we left off, we are now moving on to a new comment. This should be fun. I feel a rant coming on and I haven't even started reading it yet. A comment asserts that because the FDA did not visit JRC and meet with its staff or obtain firsthand observation of residents, we did not educate ourselves on the complete facts regarding the JRC's use of the device. Here we go. In layman's terms, this person is saying because the visits were unannounced, because staff were not notified, because they feel like because the staff wasn't there to guide them in their observation of the residents, that there's there's biased there because you didn't announce that you were coming. You didn't talk to any of the staff members. You didn't look at any of the sheets. It's horseshit. Big time horseshit. The whole concept in regards to unannounced visits is to do exactly that. That means we've already had the staff guided tour. We've already seen what the JRC wants you to see. Unannounced visits are what happens when what you've been shown is not matching the reports coming in. When it doesn't match the underperformance levels that is at odds with all their other disabled peers. When it doesn't address the insane amount of DESI reports coming in. When it doesn't explain what happened in regards to the kid in that 2006 lawsuit that got the ball rolling on this. That's when unannounced visits happen, folks, because at this point, we've already listened to the staff. We had the guided tour. We saw what the JRC wanted us to see. When that does not match up with what the facts are as they are coming in. It is our job to come together, review the reports, and determine if there is a cause for concern. And if there is, we're doing unannounced visits. We're not going to engage with the staff because that is not the point of the visit. We don't want to hear your excuses. We do not want to hear your bullshit. We are not there to listen on you pontificating on why it's important to shock someone for the sin of standing longer than 3 seconds. We don't want to hear your bizarre ideas of how you have to shock a student for doing that, because that is a sign of something that could happen before an act of aggression happens. Because technically, you could say me getting up and taking one foot and putting it on the ground could be considered a precursor behavior to aggressive behavior. We are there to see what you don't want us to see. We want to know what the staff was hiding during that 2005 guided tour. We want to know the real reasoning behind excessive use of shocks that are powered just below the lethal limit. We want to know why students are underperforming in spite of what the staff tried to show you the previous year. We are there to get to the bottom of what's actually going on, and the only way you can do that is to go and see what they don't want you to see. So it is beyond ridiculous that they continue over and over and over again to try and argue this point, or to use it as a means to say that we're picking on the JRC, when in fact, folks, and I can speak to this with a certain level of authority on the subject, that all the other programs, schools and residential programs, are under the exact same level of scrutiny that the JRC is, and it is 100% protocol. When you have that much cause for concern for unannounced visits to take place. Remember, I've been on 2 or 3 of them, okay? It's been a long time, folks. So, yeah, okay? It's a ridiculous argument. It makes no coherent sense. And the fact that they're trying to say, but the FDA should give it less weight because none of our staff was addressed. Your staff was addressed on multiple occasions, and the same reports still kept coming out, which means the answers your staff gave during those guided visits weren't good enough. Okay? That's what that means. But let's finish up, shall we? The comment contrasts this with what it characterizes in ex parte discussions with other parties, including 3 former residents who approached the FDA. So they don't like survivors coming forth to tell their stories. They try to write them off, as they always write us NDs off, as you can't take them seriously. They're just bitter, and and they just don't know what's good for them. I saw it freeze there, folks. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. The FDA likes to use us as a scapegoat a lot. They want the whole public to believe that this entire thing was concocted up by us, and that somehow we have this almost godlike power to target the JRC and make their lives hell. It's insane, folks. I wish to God we did have that kind of power, but we don't. Okay? If we had that kind of power, the JRC would have gone the way of the dodo a long goddamn time ago. There would be no troubled teen industry. You see where I'm going here, right? But you're influencing the FDA. Do ya hear yourselves? Do you hear yourselves? Do you really think any of these bastards take any of us seriously? You can argue that they took me seriously, but let me tell you why that's different. I came from a family that has some standing in the state of Missouri, specifically my uncle. Okay? My uncle has considerable amount of influence, means, and power. Okay? They're going to take someone like me a bit more seriously than they would take different forms of advocates. I don't like it. It's dirty, it's backwards, it's corrupt as hell, but it is what it is. And I had no qualms with using it. If it was going to just basically, if it was going to change things out here, I was goddamn well good going to use it. Okay? If it would take this emphasis off of sticking people in an institutionalized version of services, I was going to use it. If it was going to start with bringing out the employment first initiative and rolling out the person centered plan as opposed to the nightmare that is ABA, I was good, goddamn ready to go ahead and use it. It gave me leverage, and I used it. You bet your ass I used it. I'd do it again. I'm doing it again now, which is why to this day the JRC has not really tried to attack me in any way that's been legal, in the same way that they're trying to bully around NeuroClastic. Okay? Now, I could be wrong on that subject, and I could be having a misguided view of said family member's importance, but it's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because I've seen these bastards come down, intimidate, bribe, and all kinds of corrupt shit to cover up what they actually do there. They have no qualms of going after individuals, doxing them, and doing all kinds of nasty things. They've got a long history of it. So, you know. So, in regards to they didn't absolutely educate themselves on the complete facts regarding JRC's use of the device, they very much did. Okay? The facts were reviewed. Your facts are nonsensical. They are batshit insane. Okay? Usually just for justification. Shocking someone at just below the lethal limit. For standing up for more than 3 seconds. Because it could possibly, maybe, lead to an act of aggression. Is insane. To any sane person on planet Earth, that sounds insane. Okay? Because you can argue the fact that I breathe in and out, because people right before an act of aggression breathe in and breathe out, that I should be shocked for breathing because it could possibly lead to aggression. It's not that they did not review the facts, folks. It's that their so-called complete facts on how the GEDs are used are insane. Point blank. We're all familiar, JRC, for your excuses, because that's what they are, excuses to torture disabled kids and kids with mental health issues. We are very well versed in your reasoning that you used on those papers to get away with doing such horrific things to kids, all right? The fact of the matter is, we believe your reasoning and your excuses are insane, all right? To sit there and point a finger at the FDA by trying to say, but you don't understand. You did not allow the staff to educate you so that you can understand why the JRC has to shock a student for standing longer than 3 seconds. Yeah. Let's finish, shall we? The comment contrasts this with what it characterizes as ex parte discussions with other parties, including former residents who approached the FDA. Remember, they don't like survivor stories getting out. They really don't like survivor stories with the medical documents to back them up. They feel like the fact that they listened to former residents who came forward and told their stories about their experiences in that hellscape they call a school makes them automatically biased towards the students. Eh, 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 eh. Okay, I hate to use it, but it is a very good example. Okay? There's a difference between the survivors' stories, because this is not a situation of listen and believe. Okay? This is a situation of listen, I've got something to tell you, and here is my file folder about 5 pounds in weight with the medical documentation to back up the story I'm getting ready to tell you. Okay? This is, I'm coming forward with my personal experiences. Here's an accordion file holder of my receipts. Okay? It's a very different situation when compared with, I don't know, Miss Saying AH. The listen and believe. Oh, but how dare you ask for receipts? This is not the same situation here. Those folks came forward with medical documentation. Medical documentation from the exact time period when they were stuck in that hellscape of a school, and medical documentation afterwards for the after effects of being put on such a device that they are dealing with now. Okay? Not even close to being remotely similar. We're going to go ahead and close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could, folks, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you next time.